Over Hillcrest.
From here on, great
Yeah, of course,
story.
Hillcrest is the Heights is split as well.
Yeah, it's still
And then South
yeah.
But I think there are some.
9 o'clock, Wednesday morning, that's when you get
I'll come out and help you. It's at,
For this artwork here. He is one of our 7th Street artists, and he's been painting immigration topics basically his whole adult life, and we really appreciate him. And the tamales from Delicioso Tamales is also his family. They always have their tamales at our 7th Street thing, so it made sense to have them here. And I want to thank everybody who's contributed to one of the dishes back there. It's a great spread.
Thank you.
And now, Donald, would you like to come and take over?
I have a question.
Yes.
Who is responsible for the tamales, did you say?
Delicioso tamales.
Is the person who brought them, will stand and
I asked them to come and stay, and they are not here right now, but
Thank you, Miss.
but I wish. I was hoping they were here where we could oh, they're wonderful, aren't they? There you go.
So, thank you everyone for coming. It's so good to see all of you here. And I want to thank the organizers. This year is the first year I have been this relaxed for an annual meeting in the last 4 or 5 years. But Katie and Tanya and Stephanie pitching in really helped, and I appreciate them very much. So the main reason we're here is to be together. And the second reason we're here is to enjoy the food. But the third reason we're here is to take care of a little business. The bylaws say that we will meet annually, and we will use this time to elect our board of directors. There are 7 members minimum and 15 members maximum. And this year we are at 13. So that means we have 2 open slots that we can fill tonight, or we can fill as the year goes if we need to. But let me tell you who the board members are. We have 4 young people from the Pulaski Academy
Amnesty International.
The Amnesty International, and they are such a wonderful group. Unfortunately, this is not a good night for high school students, so Akhil Chevaretti and Akshara Chevaretti, Elizabeth Lamdell and Faith Chai are the members from there. Then there is Hamid Ibrahimafar, Jason Kennedy, John Coffin, Katie Elliott, Kwame Abdul-Day, Matthew Bryant, Stephanie Gray, Tanya Hollefeld, and myself. And I also want to mention that Dr. Martha Beck was a longtime member of our board. She has left the state, and she went to, of all places, Wisconsin. And she has been very helpful to their Somalian community and to helping them with nonviolent resistance. So we appreciate her very much. So I need, and the sign-in sheet says that nobody checked that they want to be added to our list tonight. If you do want to be added, you can apply to the board later in the year, but I need a motion to approve these members. And a second?
Second.
Any objections? Then they are approved. Now, it is up to the board to elect their officers. And this year, the officers will be, I will stay on as chair. Stephanie Gray is vice chair. Matthew Bryant is secretary. And Katie Elliott is treasurer. Now, I also need to give you a treasurer's report. At the end of 2024, we had $6,673 in our account. And at the end of 2025, we have $6,347. That's a net loss of $326. That's not bad. We had $2,482 of dues and donations and expenses of $326 more than that, which is $2,802. That money goes to things like membership in organizations that we're part of, like World Beyond War and Citizens First Congress and others. We also support organizations like Decarcerate, and we and we pay for venues like the one we're in tonight and the one we meet in monthly, the Quaker House, and things like that. So I would like to just mention the activities that we participated in 2025. Of course, one of the main things that we do is participate in Arkansas Peace Week. We also had a Hiroshima Nagasaki remembrance. As I said, we tabled at Decarcerate, and we participated with Peace for Palestine and a number of other activities. One that I have to be especially careful to tell you about is KABF Radio, Speak Up Arkansas. Woo! So we have that show every fourth Wednesday at 5 o'clock. But this year, you don't have to remember, is it the fourth Wednesday or which Wednesday? Because every Wednesday has a progressive group that is participating. You can come any week and gain a lot, and it's a good show. Speak Up Arkansas. Also want to emphasize that Arkansas Coalition for Peace and Justice is a local affiliate of World Beyond War. And later, when we have our networking time, I will be at a table to tell you more about World Beyond War. But this has been a great year. World Beyond War is now 11 years old. Year before last, we added organizers for Africa and Latin America. And this past year, we've added organizers for Europe and Southeast Asia. So it is really becoming a global organization. Arkansas Coalition for Peace and Justice is also a participant in Acpj Meeting's Nonviolent Cities program. And this past year, they've really worked on nonviolent resistance. So I do have to admit to you that I haven't been as vigilant about logging in every month. And if there's anyone in this group, or you know of anyone that would like to get more involved in Nonviolent Cities program, please let me know. And I would be glad to have you participate with me. It's a very active and very worthwhile program. And the last thing I'm going to say is, please remember to vote. I can't tell you who to vote for, that's against the rules, but I can tell you that we all need to vote. And I voted today.
Food here in the back. I'll do some basic introductions of everyone, and then I'll invite up our panelists to the stage, but want to make sure everybody is aware of who these incredible voices you're going to be hearing from. And so including in our panel tonight is our Peace Activist of the Year, as well as our Peace Organization of the Year. So these are awards that are given annually. Last year, the Peace Organization of the Year was Little Rock Peace for Palestine. So we try to award those that are really in this moment addressing what is the most pressing social issue of our time. And we have some incredible awardees for this year that I'm sure we've all seen the impact that they're having in our community. So I will invite up first Badria. Badria is an immigration attorney. You can totally finish your suit, Badria. Badria Marianne is an immigration attorney with Rivias and Associates, which is headquartered in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and has offices here in Fort Smith, Arkansas, as well as Oklahoma City. Badria is a child of an immigrant and is passionate about giving others a fair shot at the American dream. She has attended the University of Arkansas School of Law. While in law school, Badria spent 2 years as a student attorney with the U of A's Immigration Law Clinic, while also, of course, doing pro bono work locally, because that was not enough to do. So Badria then began her legal career working in legal aid services in Oklahoma, where she primarily worked on housing discrimination cases. When an opportunity arose for Badria to return into immigration law, she took it and worked for a nonprofit legal services provider in California, providing representation to those immigrants with cases before the USCIS and EORI. She has also worked on immigration appeals for the BIA and the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. And Badria is barred in Arkansas and Oklahoma and currently resides in Little Rock with her partner and three, as she says, 3 cat children. If you would like to come up, Badria. Yes, and Badria uses she, her pronouns. Our next panelist is our Peace Activist of the Year, Connor Thompson. Connor, who uses he, him pronouns, is a Little Rock-based attorney and leading figure in the movement, lawyering, and civil rights advocacy here in Arkansas. He serves as the chair of the board of the National Lawyers Guild Arkansas chapter and is the treasurer of Decarcerate, where he helps guide strategic and fiscal stewardship in support of abolitionist and decarceral work. Connor is an adjunct lecturer at the University of Arkansas Little Rock William H. Bowen School of Law, where he teaches policing law, preparing future attorneys to critically engage issues of state power, accountability, and constitutional rights. Connor is a key leader in Arkansas social movements and has spearheaded legal observer programs and know your rights trainings, providing essential legal infrastructure and protection for communities engaged in protest, organizing, and collective action. Could you come forward, Connor? And And for our Peace Organization of the Year, there is no other organization I would imagine receiving this award this year is Migra Watch. Migra Watch is a group of organizers dedicated to reporting on immigration and customs enforcement activity in Central Arkansas. Through monitoring, verification trainings, and public reporting, Migra Watch serves as a critical resource for Arkansas's broader movement for immigrant justice, resisting fear-based tactics and affirming the dignity and rights of all people. Migra Watch is a project of Intransitive, which I hope everyone here in the room knows Intransitive, a trans and migrant-led abolitionist organization based here in Arkansas. It focuses on supporting transgender and queer people, especially trans women of color and migrants, through mutual aid, advocacy, and community organizing across the state. We have two panelists here from Migra Watch that I'm happy to bring to the stage. First is Cynthia Martinez, who uses they, she, or he pronouns. Cynthia is the field director for Migra Watch. I'm surprised that that's the only role that you have at Migra Watch. All around incredible organizer, driven by the belief that no one should have to face the violent systems of oppression alone. For the last 9 years, Cynthia has dedicated themselves to immigration defense and trans liberation. Cynthia's roots are from southern coast of Mexico, and in 2017 received the Community Family Institute Award for Outstanding Sociology Student from the University of Arkansas. They approach this work with passion, dedication, and necessity to build a world without police, prison, and borders. And our final panelist, Angel Castillo-Reyes, who uses he and they pronouns. Angel is a full-time law student at the Bowen School of Law and a co-leader and organizer of Migra Watch. Angel is aspiring to be an immigration and criminal defense attorney, and Angel's journey into the movement, specifically with movement lawyering, is centered around and furthering social and economic justice and putting people over profit. Can you give our panelists a round of applause?
And can we give Stephanie Gray a round of applause?
If I don't fall off the stage.
Yeah, we can move backwards a little.
I'm also just clumsy. It's not your fault. So for our first question, I really want to hear from Cynthia and Angel, and particularly with the work of Migra Watch, to really help us here in the room. Some of us have some familiarity and some may have less familiarity of really what is the current landscape for immigrants right now here in Arkansas, and just really seeing what directly you're seeing in your work to give people a kind of background on what the reality is.
Thank you so much for having us here. I think the most dangerous place to be an immigrant right now is on the highways or on the streets. It's driving to and from work. That is where people are being detained for various amounts of reasons, right? It can be something like, and I tell this story everywhere, honestly, because having a flat tire on the side of the road, and Arkansas State Police comes up to you and asks, where are you from and where were you born? So we don't need ICE agents in the streets because Arkansas State Police and local highway police especially, who don't have an official 287 agreement, they're all acting as ICE agents. We're having, the infrastructure is being built within the police so that they're doubling and acting as ICE agents. And so we don't need ICE agents like in Minneapolis, right, where they're terrorizing and occupying. The police are doing the work for them, the dirty work for them. So yeah, I think that's the most dangerous place. Yeah, is just trying to drive to and from work, and then also it's the hiding. There's a lot of hiding that's happening, and so that's why And our work, we feel, is so important to really focus and uplift the immigrant community, because ICE is an ethnic cleansing organization, right? And so that's beyond just taking one person from a family, right? It's beyond just like the numbers. It's taking the culture, it's destabilizing families, it's killing immigrant businesses, it's killing the culture, it's hiding your accent. It goes so much further than, it's attacking a whole group of people. It's attacking people who have ancestors that have been here for thousands upon thousands of years. Migration is a, natural, ancestral thing. And so yeah, it's beyond just this moment and the kidnappings. It's really the erasure of a whole community to whiten the state more than it already is.
Thank you. I definitely want to give a shout out to Cynthia. Intransitive has been doing immigration work for over 9 years. While we see an escalation today, especially with the current administration, immigration is not, the violation of immigrant rights is an inherently new thing, right? And so even though ICE was only created in 2003, 2004, the horrors that have been inflicted by Border Patrol agents and different federal, agencies are a stain on history. And so they've been doing this work for over just the founding and expansion of immigration rights work. It was originally meant and focused on immigrant, especially Black and trans and brown people of color. So I think it's important to put that out there. But yeah, what Cynthia said is very true. A lot of it is the literal legalization of discrimination. We're seeing it like not only just it's part of the system now. Constitutionally, people are being able to be discriminated against and searched just because of the color of their skin, even their last names. This is part of the law now, constitutionally. And so what we're seeing now in Arkansas, while it may not be as expansive or as quote unquote violent or politicized as Minneapolis, what we're seeing is this like quiet and overt capture and incarceration of people of color in Arkansas, right? Something right now that we're talking about is CDL drivers. That's one of the issues that we're currently tackling is people are not aware of a piece of legislation that was introduced into Arkansas and signed by Sarah Huckabee Sanders. But if CDL drivers are coming into Arkansas, they can legally be stopped, and there's a English proficiency test that is administered. And so this is a violation of not only just people of color, but just it's a violation of human rights in general, right? And so I think that highlighting these quiet atrocities are super important. Like Cynthia said, the highways are especially dangerous for immigrants. And so I think by highlighting the legislative processes that happen to make it legal, especially in Arkansas, the expansion of 287G contracts statewide, forcing counties to enter into them. While not all of them are currently registered, they will eventually be forced to, right? And so I'm from a rural county, I'm from Arkansas County, and so while we may not be seeing it, there's still fear in these rural communities. It's like you see immigrant businesses being impacted. Like I have family that have food trucks, and people hear about things happening in Little Rock and they're afraid to leave in Stuttgart, which is an hour away. So I think it's important to highlight those fears and those realities, but also acknowledging that we are here and we are resisting, right? And even though we live in a red state, you know, ice melts in the South. So,
I think Rachel really provided a great transition into the question that I have for Connor and Badria, really thinking in terms of, as lawyers, as the kind of the movement lawyering in this moment and seeing the persecution, specifically really of legal observers that are in the field, targeting of legal observers, both as your roles sort of in that role of like as legal observers, but also as attorneys. What are you kind of directly seeing in this moment that folks need to be aware about?
Yeah, so just earlier today, we led a legal observer training at Bowen Law School, which, just to give you a little bit of a spiel about the National Lawyers Guild in Arkansas. So we started, well, first of all, National Lawyers Guild, it's the oldest racially integrated bar association in the United States. It started in 1937 and has been really the legal arm of social movements going back to the civil rights era in the 60s. It was NLG lawyers who were going to the South and representing students putting their bodies and lives on the line to do nonviolent civil disobedience. NLG lawyers who are on the front lines of American anti-apartheid, South African activism, going all the way up to the present day of Palestine and ICE and everything else. And one of the things we do in the National Lawyers Guild is we have a very long-standing legal observer program, which essentially means we have groups of volunteers most of whom are not lawyers. Any person can become a legal observer. You don't have to have a legal background, but we work in coordination with attorneys to basically show up to demonstrations, protests, in wherever organizers want us. We only show up when organizers request our presence, and basically serve hopefully as a deterrent role for police overreach, misconduct, unconstitutional actions, and as well as actually collecting evidence that's protected by attorney-client privilege as attorney work product that could be used in a potential civil rights lawsuit, in a criminal prosecution. And you would recognize us by the neon green chartreuse hats. I just learned legally we have a trademark on legal observer with the chartreuse background, so that's our thing. And it's interesting because the term legal observer in some sense is very associated with the National Lawyers Guild. We've been doing it, the royal we, the NLG has been doing it since 1968. It actually started with the Columbia University uprisings that happened around Vietnam and the original occupation of, I think, Hamilton Hall in Columbia. And so that's when the Legal Observer program started, and then the National Lawyers Guild. And basically it's been happening ever since. It's been a major presence in large cities. Now if you watch like any demonstration in New York or Chicago, you can like point out all the green hats everywhere. So in Arkansas, we got started in 2020. So when the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Black Lives Matter 2020 protests were happening, basically myself and a professor who's no longer at Bowen Law School, I was a law student at the time, we organized together. And at the time there were, if you guys remember what it was like in Little Rock during that time, you had state troopers, actually cops from all over the state in downtown Little Rock, tear gas, pepper balls, all of that stuff being used, mass arrests. So we organized at the time. We didn't even know we were going to be a National Lawyers Guild chapter. We just thought there's a need happening right now, a need to respond. So we organized groups of law students to go out, and we didn't even have the hats. We screen printed armbands at the Arkansas Innovation Hub, rest in peace. And just made it happen. And then we saw like, hey, there's some momentum here. There's a lot of interest. Maybe we should start a guild chapter in Arkansas, which there hadn't been one up to that point. So we've been going in the Arkansas Guild chapter since 2020. That's how I met Stephanie, was this is a side story, but I think an illuminating one. So we were doing all this work, working with organizers in, what became the Little Rock Freedom Fund, different groups in Little Rock. And one day I'm like on social media and I find this group in Conway and I'm looking at their social media content and I'm like, dude, like their analysis is so cogent and so like, they're really like have a great like, take on race and, justice issues. And then, I'm like, who are these people in Conway? Like, what is this? And find out it's this group called Reinvest in Conway, which was Stephanie Gray and Hadia Cummings. Hadia's now legal fellow at ACLU of Arkansas. And so, yeah, that's how I met Stephanie, was going into very of enemy territory of Faulkner County to go observe there. And very hostile place to be an organizer, so it took a lot of courage for those folks to do that work there. But all that was preface to your question. So with that said, the NLG has this longstanding legal observer program. Our operational protocols are very well-defined. Over decades of work has gone into it. And it was very interesting, and tragic and sad for us when we would see the news coming out of Minneapolis about, particularly Renee Good and Alex Preddy, simply because, when those murders happened, when the news first, was making the rounds, what the headlines would say was legal observers have been killed in Minneapolis. And so I'm on lots of NLG listserv, email listservs and stuff. And one of the listservs attorneys in Minneapolis were like, were they NLG people? Like they weren't wearing the hats? Like the media's saying they're legal observers? And we kind of came to the realization these were from what I understand, I don't know everything about it, is they were doing sort of Ice Watch, more like Nikito Watch, like the work that Cynthia is and Angel and Roomba are organizing, is my understanding. And so it's been really interesting to see this, term, this concept, that for us has this sort of specific meaning. We literally have trademark on, again, legal observer with the chartreuse background for the hat, so that basically we don't have copycats going out and causing trouble wearing our gear basically. And so it's really been just devastating, obviously, and horrifying to see, watch the videos of, Good and Preddy and all of, many other people victimized and murdered by ICE, and victimized in other ways as well, like having, warrantless raids of people's houses, people being windows smashed and being pulled out of car windows, and the many other ways in which our fundamental constitutional rights, as Angel was alluding to, are being eroded. And I can speak to the fact that how they're able to get away with eroding our rights is that basically the remedies for enforcing our rights are being taken away and have been. This is a long-standing program. This predates Trump. This is a bipartisan, multi-presidential, frankly, Supreme Court project, which specifically, in terms of federal agents, it's exceedingly difficult to hold any federal agents accountable, because if your constitutional rights are violated by local police, state police, county sheriffs, you can bring what's called a Section 1983 lawsuit to enforce your constitutional rights. The Supreme Court has a line of cases where they say, okay, Section 1983 only talks about local government officials. It doesn't address federal. And so until the Supreme Court decided a case called Bivens, where they made it available for individuals to sue federal officers for violations of constitutional rights. In the intervening decades, including a case as recently as 2022, basically Bivens has been chipped away to now it's nearly impossible to sue any federal agents to enforce your constitutional rights. You can bring tort claims, you can bring other kinds of claims, but really the most powerful tool in the toolkit for average people to enforce their rights when there is a warrantless, search of a home without the Fourth Amendment, when there's excessive force, when there's a murder that happens at the hands of an ICE agent that's unreasonable use of force. That remedy has been taken away. And if you don't have a proper remedy, you really don't have that right anymore, because who's going to tell ICE what to do?
Badria, do you want to?
Yeah, I think I want to talk for a second about that, okay, so what even is a remedy, right? Like, a remedy should, in theory, put you whole again, put you back to where you were, like, status quo before. And if someone's been killed, there really is no remedy. And the Federal Tort Claims Act, like Connor alluded to, it's very limited.
Yep.
You have to file it within a certain amount of days, not days, I'm sorry, like I think a year, maybe 2 years. If you don't set your initial amount that you're suing for at the beginning at the highest amount possible, you can't go back and like amend that. And so it's hard to bring those claims. And again, like, money's not going to fix death. Money's not going to fix the family that's broken apart. And also, any attempt at remedy, it is happening later on. It's a future concern. It's not addressing the present concern, which I think is a problem generally with the law in the country right now. It's very hard to prevent harm immediately.
I wanted also for you, Badria, directly working, I know you've worked with asylum seekers, different things, of, like, on kind of your direct experience working with folks that are like in the moment of facing kind of what the reality of our immigration system. Is there any insight that you can kind of provide of like working directly with those clients?
Yeah, people are really scared. They are scared for themselves. They're scared for their U.S. citizen children. It's not even always about like status, but just like I need to stay here for as long as possible. What is the method to do that? I have a lot of really difficult conversations with people where they might be like, is my appeal going to be successful? And the answer is no. In the Fifth Circuit, a lot of the time, the answer is no. It's really difficult to win asylum claims generally in that area. I have a lot of clients who have gender-based claims, and those are really hard to win as well generally. And so I treat appeals and I treat appeals as a means of just buying time in hopes that something shifts with the administration. And so I always tell people, if we can just buy you more time, maybe something will change. Maybe a new administration comes in, maybe we have better case law, maybe we have new programs. There have been times before where we have paroled people in. There have been times before where even Reagan had a whole farm worker program, right, where a number of people obtained status during Reagan's administration. And so it's not some sort of like foreign concept. And so we could do it again. So this is what I tell my clients, to get them some hope, make sure they have employment authorization documents to keep working and providing for their families. But there isn't a lot of, I guess, positive things I can say there. Yeah.
I appreciate the honesty, yeah.
Yeah.
And sort of my next question, which is for each of the panelists, for those that have been doing movement work a lot, there's always also the rush of like, I want to do something, and also not recognizing what's already being done and where can I plug in. And so I think a question of intent and impact of how people get into the movement in responsible ways. So I do want to, there's probably a lot of folks here that are not plugged into immigration work. So in this moment, what does solidarity look like for folks, and what are actions that folks can take that are kind of respectful of the work that folks have already been doing for, as Angel said, a really long time?
I think especially right now, as someone who is wanting to go into the legal field, I am often in conflict with the reality versus my radical hope that I, have envisioned and have gathered from, my elder organizers. And, I think it's almost like a conflict. It's like, I'm not allowed to have hope because there's these limitations. But like a organizer said at a panel that I was luckily able to be a part of, is like, find me that loophole, find me that way to, do something. It's like, just don't stop, and like, I think, being stagnant is probably the worst thing to do. Let yourself be consumed by fear and by anxiety, isolating yourself in your room. And I get it, it's scary. I have family members, I have loved ones, and even if I didn't, I see people being ripped off the streets, and it's hard. It's hard to have hope. But, I hate to bring it like this, but I am a believer. And, even though people don't have faith, I think there's this universal love that you can tune into, right? It's like, even if you don't agree on this specific quadrant of fate, it's like, you can, tune into that, like that collective hope, that collective, pushback against the quote unquote realities or limitations of the legal system. I think that's the most important thing, right? It's like tuning in, saying hi to your neighbor, maybe you didn't before. It's small steps, it's like working up to plugging in. It might take a little bit more for other people. Like, I get it, I consider myself an introvert and I'm up here right now, but I think it's so important, to tune in with other people, show up, like, if you isolate yourself, it's dangerous. I think that's the worst thing that you could do, even though it's the easiest thing that you can do. Find community, like do food distribution, find a shelter, find a church, whatever is your mix that you want to find yourself in, that's what's most important. But I will do a little plug-in with Migrawash, it's like, we need all hands on deck. We need people to show up and not just feel bad about what's going on, right? It's like, we can all feel bad, but it's like, what are we doing in small steps? It doesn't have to be like, being the activist that does something huge. It's showing up in the small ways too, right? So I think that's the most important, and different people have different accessibility needs, but it's finding those ways, and if there isn't a way, find someone who wants to do that, but yeah, I think that's the most important thing right now.
Thank you. So let me start from the beginning. I'm wearing this made by Jose Hernandez, amazing artist. He's also made our logo, the Migrawash logo, in collaboration, with like the trans migrants that started helping us build of like, the beginning of last year, right? Knowing this administration, knowing Trump's promises, like what are we gonna do? So that's why we, came up with Migrawash, and it was, it's an idea to combat the fear that, and the very, very real fear that they want our community to feel, right? And also just creating a culture of participatory community defense, right? Having people know, and anyone out there, whether you're part of Migrawash or you're not, people are going out there and they're recording, you're seeing that, right? Our current, I feel like, landscape looks very different than when we started, last year. And that's great, right? More people are getting involved. It also means that we have, our solidarity has also adapted to like the needs of the community. Our hotline we launched in May, and the majority of the calls that we receive are, my family member has been detained, what do we do? How do we locate them? How do we find them? And so that's really what we have been doing, and is supporting, what happens after the detainment, right? What happens what happens to that person, right? How do we support it right now? Last year we were able to support 4 families and being able to be reunited back with their, with their loved ones. And again, like Badria said, like the Fifth Circuit, which is where the majority of our people are taken, right? It's super, super hard to be able to fight that. And to just, again, even have the hope and say, actually, I'm gonna keep fighting for my person. The system and everybody is telling me we don't have answers, we don't know, everything like that, but you keep fighting for your people and you don't give up just because like they were taken on a bus or they were whatever. The story doesn't end there. And that's part of the work that we are leaning more towards into. That's the direction that community needs. That's the direction that even if you have the funds to be able to pay for a lawyer, there aren't enough lawyers in this country to even be able to take the case, right? So you have to just continue to find those loopholes and find these different things. And so that's why we do have a lot of mutual aid asks on our page. And so we ask for support for that. The families is having a food fundraiser or, having a GoFundMe, that's all they have. That's the work that they're trying to do to be able to fight for their person, whether it's to get them released and out here or to get them released and on the other side of the border, because what's important is to get them alive and out of that cage. Because so many people are not making it out alive, right? That's why all these vigils happens, and that's why all this stuff happens. We don't need any more people on the list. We need people out of those cages. And so that's where our work has really been gone to, and that's the work that we're really focusing on, and we're asking for more support from that. We're also having monthly ally meetings every first Thursday of the month. Please join us. We will be doing trainings at every single one of them. Luckily, we had beautiful, our wonderful people here, Connor and Badria, who are at the last ones. And I know a lot of people say, like, know your rights trainings. What do you need your rights for? I've been told by white men for. What do you need your rights for? They're gonna, they're not gonna listen to them anyways. Okay, well, that actually does make a difference whether you sign your deportation papers or you don't, right? That's one of the main know your rights things. Like, don't sign. Don't sign. They will pressure you. It makes a huge difference if and when, for a lot of community, they think it's inevitable, that it's only a matter of time. So if that's the case, you need to have a plan, you need to know your rights, you need to have community connections, because there's no way that you can get out of that cage without support from the community, right? You cannot do it alone, we cannot do it just with legal. We need to support the people and not just give up when they've been taken, that's it. It's not the end. We need to keep fighting. Please support our mutual aid ask. We have 4 or 5 families that we're supporting right now. Again, first Thursday of every month, having open meetings to train people up, and just continuing to do more trainings and fulfill these mutual aid asks. Last weekend I was at Wynn Detention Center. 2 young sisters were visiting their dad. It might be the last time they see their dad for a really long time. But things like that, we need support with transportation, being able to fill, and just help communities help families try to stay together in whatever way that looks. Thank you.
Yeah, all I could do is really just amplify and repeat, some of the incredible coaching points that Angel and Cynthia have made. Showing up, like Angel was pointing out, not getting siloed, not getting sort of stuck in sort of repetitive patterns of, thinking that we can't do anything. And I think, what this evening and what you're being invited to with the opportunities that are being presented on this stage are chances to show up, and remembering that there's lots of roles in our movements that need to be filled, and lots of ways that people with all different backgrounds and skills and different capacities can bring to the table. It's just in doing the Legal Observer training this morning, we were talking about how ideally, legal observers would be kind of part of this broader infrastructure of maybe we'd have people doing jail support or, bail funds and everything. And it's that just takes capacity. It just takes people who are willing and interested in wanting to take part and show up in our movements. And so, maybe you might not be the person, legal observing, ICE watching on the scene, but you might be able to answer the phone, take when a verifier calls, take down that information, or if someone gets arrested at a protest, be able to answer the phone. There's lots of different ways. Showing up to Food Not Bombs and preparing lovely meals with community. I think it's all incredibly valued and important. And there are so many incredible grassroots groups in Central Arkansas. Like, I'm actually constantly amazed by all of the wonderful groups we have here in our, in our community. And so we always need more people.
Yeah, I think about the bird. Is it the emu that tries to put their head in the sand? I think it's that bird. But anyways, is it an ostrich? Okay. The ostrich that tries to put their head into the sand or do that. I don't know the purpose. I'm not a scientist, but I think there's a want to not be the ostrich. I think it's really easy to. We are in the middle of a horrible time in the world, and there's more years to come of it. And so there's that want to look away and to kind of write it out of your daily life. But I think what you're being called to do today is to make it part of your daily life and to get that fulfillment from other people and being in community and knowing that you're not alone in fights.
Incredible. I want to take maybe 2 questions, and if the panelists can kind of like merge the questions as possible. We have about 15 minutes. But if anybody has a question, please raise your hand and I can come bring a mic to you.
You are so nice. Well, what's going, is Canada a viable option for people who haven't been detained yet? Need to escape the United States to keep them being detained? Is Canada a undocumented immigrant-friendly country?
I don't do immigration law in Canada, and so I don't have a good answer for that. I think they have a very specific process, and if you are a highly skilled immigrant with college degrees, or you're an investor with lots of money, it's going to be easier to get into those countries, into Canada. But for the mass of people who are being detained and at risk of being detained, I'm not sure that Canada would take them in the way that we would need to happen. But I wish Canada was an option, for myself included. Yeah.
A question I have is a legal question for you guys. And so I had just a horrible, violent, racist neighbor that just terrorized us and my friends that would come into my place. And then he posted up a camera inside of his front window that's pointed at my front door. So I needed to go to the prosecutor to try and get him to stop. Even though I knew it's a stupid old computer camera and he wasn't really connected, he's just being a bully. But what I found out is there was no right to privacy, and that, and this was, over a decade ago, but that guy could point a camera at me no matter where on his property. He could point it at my property as long as it's on his property. And so I'm wondering where we are now as far as property laws, and while you're on the road laws, you see a lot of cameras, people using their phone to record what's going on. And so here in Arkansas, the law might be different than other states. In Arkansas, if a ICE agent, or where we're concerned, I guess a sheriff's deputy or a state police or a Little Rock Police Department or any city police department pulls you over now, they're ICE. And so what are your rights to continue to film if they say no?
Yeah, so as a general rule, just speaking to kind of the first part of your question, you basically are considered not to have really a reasonable expectation of privacy out and about in the world. Like when you're not in your, domicile in your home and that sort of thing, although you have a very unique set of facts in your situation. Basically the idea is like, when you're out and about in public, you don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And that's really the legal concept that enables the surveillance that police engage in. And so actually kind of similar to your situation that you described in the beginning, There's an interesting case that I was following, or not even a case, I don't think it ever went to court, but the Institute for Justice, it's kind of a libertarian, like legal, kind of Fourth Amendment group. They've been bringing lawsuits challenging flock safety cameras, which are these automated license plate readers, and lots of police departments are, including LRPD, are installing flock systems. They do all kinds of surveillance technology. I believe they're sharing data with ICE, is my understanding too. There are battles over this with flock in particular. So there's a story of there was someone in Geyer Springs, I think, which is like a small town, or wait, no, Greer's Ferry. It was Greer's Ferry, which is I think a town of like couple hundred people, and an individual has a house there, and the Greer's Ferry Police Department apparently set up a flock camera that pointed directly at their driveway. And so Institute for Justice, I guess, sent a demand letter and, basically said, you're violating their Fourth Amendment rights by basically having constant police surveillance, in their property, essentially. And in that case, at least, the town backed down. But that group is bringing there's another case that they brought right now in Norfolk, Virginia, where they're actually challenging flock cameras basically as a violation of a case called Carpenter, which said that you have have you read this case yet? Which was basically about pervasive, all-encompassing surveillance constantly, because the tension in the legal doctrine is you have no expectation of privacy for your movements in public, so again that enables police surveillance very often. But then if you can collect cell site records, which happened in Carpenter, such that the entirety of your movements can be surveilled at very low sort of barrier, like it's very easy for the police to do that, then the Supreme Court found that violates your expectation of privacy. So what they're doing in Virginia is saying these flock cameras, which are all over the city of Norfolk, everywhere, can be used to pervasively track a person's movements constantly, similar to Carpenter. And so they've actually managed to take that case, they've survived motion to dismiss and everything else. So, I think it's really important to, see all of the many ways our privacy rights, both in terms of the platforms we use, the social media things that we're on, and how the culture seems to be encouraging the idea that we don't have privacy anymore. We're all everything we're doing is being tracked. And in my day job, I'm a privacy attorney. That's what I litigate. That's bullshit, And so we have to, be vigilant to this and, stand up when things like contracts for surveillance technology come up at the city board of directors and, challenge the renewal of those contracts. Because that's one of the few ways that we can actually intervene in the process. There aren't a lot of ways democratically that we can prevent the police from doing anything, especially in somewhere like Arkansas, in the sense of actually passing laws. But something like a surveillance contract, a contract with Flock, a contract with ShotSpotter, anything like that, has to be approved by the city board of directors. So that's a lower barrier. We've gotten votes against renewing those contracts. So there are ways that you can mobilize around these issues and actually affect things, or at least, make a difference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have about 5 minutes, so is there one more question for one of our panelists that somebody would like to ask before we wrap up? See someone in the back.
Hi, I was just curious, you had said that there was a lot of people that really scared about getting to work. Is there anybody that's volunteering to help people get rides to and from work? I would be willing to volunteer to do something like that.
Yeah, that'd be great if you again can or if you can connect and or the community meetings as well. It's a place where we do want to like again train up on accompaniment more on that because like transportation is always a need, whether it's to work, whether it's to a nice check-in, inquiration court. There's a lot of different circumstances where transportation is definitely a lot of help, and we of course want to make sure that. I'm not a terrible person, which I'm sure you're here. You're not, you know what I'm saying? But also, there is some kind of like vetting that needs to be done right before we can just be like, here, just anyone and everyone, right? Just because of the, building the trust and just building trust in community, right? But yes, that's absolutely needed, and would love to connect over that for sure. And also that's another thing, yes, that I forgot to mention was the accompaniment. Yes, accompaniment not only to like the ICE check-ins, but like traffic court or like immigration court. There's a variety of different things that is also something people reach out to us a lot for, and want to do like a little training, and especially the safety planning piece again is very, very important to not overlook some of that stuff and before the accompaniment. Thank you.
All right, Angel, you sort of inspired me. Like, we all come with our own traditions and into the movement work that we do, and I'm just sort of reminded that we're also in Ramadan, a holy month here for Muslims, and in my tradition, the Jewish tradition, we both share this concept that when we lose one life, it is as if you have lost an entire universe. And I think about this a lot as we're sort of thinking about not just Renee Good or Alec, like these entire families that have been in many ways torn apart, an entire universe has been lost. And we as community grieve together. So I'm just incredibly grateful for the 4 people here on the stage and other folks here in this room that are giving us collective tools not only to mourn but also to move. And to have collective action, because we aren't going to see liberation if we aren't all going together. I'm just so grateful. I am inspired by the people on this stage every day, and I just want to give them a round of applause to show our appreciation. Now we get to give the awards. That's fun. So we will go ahead with Katie and Tanya with the actual plaques.
Like my Good. Congratulations.
And then everybody that's here with Meager Watch, I would love everybody if you want to come up on the stage.
Woo! Shout out Meager Watch! Yeah.
If you've ever attended our training,
Y'all are great.
yes, Badria for sure. Always on time. Can you hold this? Okay, sure. Yes. Do we need to tighten up?
Tighten up.
Oh, you have to be careful.
Badria?
Or should I stay here?
Good. Oh, don't break the tree. You're gonna be all right. Oh my God. Help him out. Okay.
Hold on here.
Hold on a second.
All right, give it up for our panelists and our reporter. The conversation is not over. Katie will sort of lead us into our next section here.
All right, so this has been an excellent event, and there's more to come. What's going to happen is next we're going to have a portion of time dedicated to everyone here being able to connect with everyone else here. And in a lot of ways, it makes me think about what Angel said on that last question about radical hope. So we're here to unite in radical hope because it's very likely that that's the lifeline into a brighter time. than we're in right now. So we have several organizations here, and when I say your organization's name, if you could stand up and everyone take a minute to see this person. We're going to dedicate about 20 to 30 minutes to being able to connect with representatives from the various organizations. While we do that, Cornbread and Roses is going to set up here to play some music. And you don't want to take off, you want to be here for all of that. The sing-along stuff will happen. Cornbread and Roses will likely close the event for us at the end of their set. And we can all be glad that we were here tonight. So, Little Rock Peace for Palestine. All right, and this is organic. You know, you take it upon yourself to connect and get aware of what's going on and what's coming up. Central Arkansas DSA. So that, I'm thinking that's the back table there in the center. Okay. Migra Watch. A2. Arkansas Public Policy Panel. Oh, petitions. Yes. Don't forget to sign the petition. Arkansas Coalition for Peace and Justice.
We'll be on board if you're interested.
And we also have Women's Action for New Directions here. They are reinvigorating the Mother's Day activities. Raise your hands. Please check in with them. That's coming up soon. You know what it is.
So, next Friday, we're going to talk about women, peace, power, and the real meaning of Mother's Day.
Amazing! Woo! Talk to each other. So if you need to ask a question to our panelists, go up, get some literature. This is really like connecting with your people and finding new people. I hope by the end of the night you meet somebody that you didn't know before. And Cornbread and Roses, if you guys need any tech stuff, just come up here and let me know.
If you have if the video of this,
I'll put it on when I go to my next one. Darn it, I didn't look good with this. Darn it. I knew I would.
I can get it to him. I'll get it to me. You got it.
See, they usually have a little container that you put. You got me, buddy. Oh, there you go. Nice. That's it. Getting away. That's why we try to go so hard.
Sorry, I'm bad at directions, but it's not Midtown. Kind of.
Oh.
Am I the impact?
I've never scanned anything ever.
Oh, okay. So we're going to be working on.
For those that don't know, it is not just a performance, it's participatory, it's a sing-along. So if you have not already, on this music stand up here in front of the stage, we have QR codes that you can scan to get a copy of the sing-along book and join us.
We are Cornbread and Roses. Cornbread and Roses is a group of singers, instrumentalists, and music lovers who want to share the activity of music making with our friends and neighbors in the Little Rock area. As capitalism reduces art to a profit-generating commodity, we must try to reject the consumerism and individualist mindset and remember that art is, and has always been, a way to express our humanity and imagination, a means of connecting with ourselves and each other. Art doesn't have to be a product created only by professionals that we individually consume. It is something that we can create together, regardless of skill or status.
Our name, Cornbread and Roses, is a distinctly Southern spin on the original phrase of bread and roses. This phrase has its earliest origins in the U.S. women's suffrage movement, but later became more closely associated with the labor movement, such as the Bread and Roses strike of 1912 in Lawrence, Massachusetts. Essentially, the phrase speaks to the need for both sustenance, the bread, and also joy, the roses. Without joy, resistance against capitalist settler colonialism, against all forces of oppression, cannot survive. We must have bread, but we need roses too.
So the songs that we like to do, most of our songs are come from old union labor movement music, such as a lot of the songs from the IWW, which is the Industrial Workers of the World. So songwriters like Joe Hill. We like Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger type stuff, Sophia Horton. And it's focused on working class, liberation, anti-fascism, that kind of stuff. And we kind of do a folk country sort of style. And some of these songs also stem from the church, gospel music. And it's kind of been altered to give it a working class, anti-fash kind of spin to it. So it's like taking that old church music and like giving it new life for like a different type of like liberation. We like to do jam sessions where we just like pick songs and like invite people to join in, and we'll just play whatever song anyone wants to play. But tonight we're going to just kind of do like a few songs that we normally do, or maybe a couple songs that we're just going to jam on spontaneously. We invite folks to scan the QR code and find our Google Doc that has like the lyrics in it if you want to sing along with us. A lot of the songs are pretty easy to sing along with, so we invite you to do that. That's what our band's about. We're about like community music making, so we want everyone to participate if you can, if you feel like it.
So to start off our set this evening, we are going to be performing All You Fascists, which was originally written by Woody Guthrie in the 1940s. Guthrie is wonderful because he focused his lyrics, his words, and his art on homegrown hate and oppression. He is famously known for carrying a guitar around that says, "This machine kills fascists," written on the side of it. And so we like to go and carry the spirit of Woody with us when we perform it. So go ahead and turn to All You Fascists in your songbooks.
I'm gonna tell you fascists, you may be surprised that people in this world are getting organized and bound to lose. Fascists bound to lose. Oh, you fascists bound to lose. Oh, you fascists bound to lose. Oh, you fascists bound to lose.
evening, we will be singing Union Made, which is another one of Woody Guthrie's hits. We are going to be singing a slightly different arrangement this evening. It was also written in 1940 for the women of the Oklahoma sit-down strikes, who were often targeted by their bosses and police in order to break the striking working men's spirits. It is a masterclass in turning fear into defiant joy. So without further ado, here is Union Made.
There you go.
I live downtown.
So our next song
I don't know if that would be
is called The Creature and the Slave. You may know the tune from a little church song called, how does it go? In the Sweet By and By. So if you know that tune, you know how to sing this song.
Yeah, should I Venmo you?
There's a little call and response. So I say the thing, you say the thing back. It goes, you will leave by and by. In that glorious land above the sky. Work and pray, live on hay. You'll get high in the sky when you die. That's how it goes. This one